voices, as you call them, we have in our minds that interfere with our efforts or need to change.
Sometimes without realizing it, we're believing a string of lies. And when it becomes a pattern, we call it a cognitive distortion. For example, something like black or white thinking. I'm either doing a great job or I'm doing an awful job. There's nothing in between. Or someone has really, really hurt me and they can't be trusted. Or I'm having a good day with them and they can be trusted in everything they say and do, rather than having a middle ground.
You, in fact, refer to it kind of dirty glasses, smudged glasses, which I can relate to. It's okay, John.
Yes.
Describe that smudged glass look, and how's that relate to that idea?
Our cognitive distortions are the lens in which we see the world, but sometimes our lenses aren't accurate because they've been beat up, they've been dirtied. And specifically speaking, it's the hurts we've experienced, the wounds we've been through, the negative relationships, and all of those things begin to impact our lens. And then when we put on our lens, the way that we see the world, we don't see it in an accurate, clear perspective because of our own past hurts, rather than seeing it through the lens of truth, God's unchanging truth that's always clear.
Deborah, you say that human beings can be like volcanoes. To me, that's super volatile. I don't know that I see that often in myself or in the relationships around me. So what's your definition of that volcanic eruption? I always think of that as like this uncontrollable anger.
Right, and that's not always what it looks like. I think the key is realizing that we have stress that's building underneath the surface of our lives. Each one of us, even today, we have different stressors that we've been experiencing. And when that stress begins to build and we don't release that stress in a healthy way, it's going to find the point of least resistance and make its way to the surface of our life in some sort of an emotional explosion. That could look like shutting down, which is the opposite of rage. It could look like a mental health issue like depression or anxiety. It could look like relationship conflict. It doesn't always mean a massive anger explosion, but the idea is that stress is building up and we're not dealing with it, and eventually it makes its way to the surface of our lives in an unhealthy way.
Yeah. Deborah, in the book Reset, you address the problem of childhood wounds and how they can interfere with our efforts to grow. And actually, I've heard counselors say that they're actually growth stunters, trauma that takes place in our childhood. You share a story about a man who you counseled called, I think you renamed the person Brett to protect him, but tell us about Brett's story and what you saw and how you helped him.
I love that you use the phrase growth stunters.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so true. And oftentimes we get stuck in an emotional stage when we've been through something really hard in that season. So I worked with Brett, and he was really having a hard time with decision making and feeling confident in his choices and being able to move forward in his life. And as we started unpacking some of that, he went through a really hard season in childhood where he was bullied, where he was feeling picked apart by people, where he was feeling like his parents were so rigid and he couldn't make his own choices. And it's almost like he froze in that season because of those wounds. And here he is, a grown man, still feeling like he's not capable, like everyone's gonna pick on him and put him down, that he wasn't good enough. And he didn't feel autonomy and confidence because he had past wounds that he never actually faced. In fact, he did the opposite. He tried to stuff them. Oh, that hard stuff from long ago, that's not impacting who I am today. But it was almost as though he was stuck in that developmental stage of a child because he's never really found freedom and healing from some of those.
Well, you're describing what we spoke about a while ago, that loop and how it gets created. I mean, that's a perfect example of that I'm inadequate, that I don't measure up, that people pick on me because I'm weak. I mean, boom, boom. And there it is. How do you, and you describe it as reparenting.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Brett's situation was that, but how do you go back and reparent yourself as an adult and change the way you think?
In the process of counseling, we do this a lot. And the idea is that now that I'm a grown adult, with the Holy Spirit living inside of me, I can go back to some of those hard places and face them. I can begin inserting a new script rather than that old negative one that's on replay. I can go back with the help of the Holy Spirit and replace some of those things I picked up from childhood with a new script based on God's truth that I know to be true today. So we almost go back and fill in the gaps with the good stuff, with the truth of God's word. And honestly, slowly, it begins to change what's on replay today.